All right, so traveling to Japan was probably one of the best decisions I've made in my entire life. I was there for about 14 days, but there was a few mistakes that I made along the way. So with that being said, this video is going to be mainly about what I would do differently if I were to go back. Not if, I guess I can say when I go back. So the first mistake I made happened before we even landed. So when you add like a long international flight that's like 10 plus hours, plus going through TSA, touching all these surfaces, probably not sleeping the night before because you're super excited to go on this trip. Your body is already pretty exhausted, your immune system is stressed, and the last thing it needs is a little bit of germs or a little bit of virus going into your body and then making you sick, which is what happened to me. I ended up getting sick the second and third day I was there. It really sucked. The third day, it being the day that I finally admitted to myself that I was sick. And it does slow you down because again, you spent all this time planning, all this money, all this time waiting to go on this trip only for you to be sick 2 or 3 of those days. So one of the main things I would do differently, if this isn't already common sense to you, would be to wear my mask. I would wash my hands a little bit more frequently, carry my hand sanitizer, and just really be on top of my hygiene because I did not like being sick. Another thing I would do is, I normally do this already, but I just didn't do it for this specific trip for some weird reason, is drink vitamins or an electrolyte mix or something just to keep yourself hydrated. I normally drink these emergency packets with like my water right before I do anything like this, like right before a trip, or even if I feel like I'm getting sick, I just try to boost my immune system just a little bit more with this vitamin mix to try and prevent myself from getting sick. And I honestly feel like it has worked in the past. I just don't know why I didn't do it this time. All right, and mistake number 2 is overbooking your days. For me, I ended up planning majority of the Japan trip, and I just felt like I did too much in one day to the point where everything felt a little bit rushed. There wasn't places we were able to stop and eat even if we wanted to because of the time that we had, and we weren't really able to shop around at different little locations we found along the way. So if I were to do it again, I would just go ahead and plan 2 things tops, like 2 main activities with a good amount of buffer room so that you can roam around and do these things like shop around, eat, or just watch a show, or just do whatever, trail off if you want to. But for sure, I think for the next time around, I would want to do that instead of just booking my days to the max. Third mistake is going to be overpacking. This is mainly for a lot of the chicks out there that want to take those big old check-in bags. If you can, I'm not telling you what to do, but if you can, try and pack as light as you can, enough to just have a carry-on. That would be key because even though there's elevators in Japan in train stations, even though there's luggage transporting services, that is still very difficult to set up when you're trying to go from one hotel to another because sometimes one hotel will have the service, but not the receiving end. So it becomes difficult to plan everything. And not to mention, you still got to get from your hotel to the station, to the train station, carrying your check-in bags and everything else. If you're moving around rush hour time, which is pretty crazy, those trains are pretty packed, and traveling with a big old check-in bag and a backpack and everything becomes very difficult. So if you can, I would highly recommend traveling as light as possible. You don't need to carry a lot of changes of clothes because laundromats are everywhere in Japan, and then a lot of the hotels do have washing machines and dryers. The one thing I do recommend though that happened to us is a lot of the dryers just don't work as well for some weird reason. I don't know if we were overfilling them. We tried doing like maybe 2 changes of clothes and the clothes was still not drying. I'm not sure about the settings, but I would highly recommend buying your own clothesline that you can hang inside of your hotel room to hang your clothes. I know it sounds kind of dumb, but that's what I ended up doing the second time around and it worked perfectly fine. I'll show you what I ended up buying in the screen so that way you can check it out if you like, but it's a very compact clothesline that you can put anywhere. All right, mistake number 4. This is a mistake that I was able to avoid before I actually made it, but I do want to bring it up because it's something that I see a lot of forums talk about, and that is pocket Wi-Fis. So a lot of us now have newer iPhones, a lot of Android phones have the capability of having eSIMs, so you're able to put 2 different SIMs on your devices, which I have a newer iPhone and I'm able to do that. I would highly recommend doing that over purchasing a pocket Wi-Fi, mainly because having a pocket Wi-Fi seems like a good idea. You can have multiple people use the pocket Wi-Fi, but the problem is that now you have to keep this second device charged and you got to keep track of it. It's another item you gotta put in your pocket or in your purse. The whole idea of using it didn't really sit well with me, so I'm glad I went ahead and just did the eSIM version of having internet in Japan. So I went with Airlo or something like that. That worked perfectly fine for me. I had no issues. The internet was pretty good. So I would highly recommend you just doing that. There's tons of videos on how to set it up. It seems a little bit more complicated than it actually is, but it's very easy to set up if you follow any person on YouTube that made a tutorial on how to set it up. So I'd highly recommend you using eSIM over pocket Wi-Fi's. All right, so the fifth mistake I made, and this is one that I made almost every day, and that is only eating at konbinis. Like, I had so many sandos that I can't even count. So many egg sandwiches, a pork with ham and cheese, like the strawberries and cream sando. Like, I had so many sandwiches, so many family chickens that it's not even funny. And the problem with that is, although it's so easy to pick up, it's super good and it's super cheap, I was missing out on multiple different types of food, like ramen spots, like katsu spot. There's just so much good food in Japan. It's very difficult to find a restaurant that sucks. So if I were to do it again, I probably would try and limit myself from eating at konbinis as much as I did the first time around. Second time around, I think every restaurant we walked into, we walked out just being completely blown away with the quality of the food and the taste and everything. So highly recommend, just go out and try different things. Like I said, it's very difficult to find a restaurant that sucks there. I have yet to experience that with the 2 trips that I went to Japan. But yeah, definitely try different places. Don't default to konbinis because there's so much good food out there. All right, mistake number 6, which kind of goes along with mistake number 5 with eating out, is carrying enough cash. So that is something that I didn't really do. I was constantly taking out cash because we kept running out, because there's a lot of shops, a lot of street food, a lot of restaurants that still take cash. So it's really important for you guys to carry it. I promise you, you're probably gonna end up using it all by the end of your trip anyway. So definitely carry enough cash. All right, and the final mistake is taking too much gear. So I ended up taking multiple cameras. I took my Fujifilm half, my Sony, my Osmo Pocket 3, my Insta360, and I found myself constantly fighting as to what camera I was gonna take out for the day. And I felt like if I would have just taken my Sony and simplified my gear, it would have been a little bit easier. It would have been a smoother day for me because I wasn't so focused on getting a certain shot that I wanted, when I know for a fact my Sony takes both good photos and good video. So if I would have just simplified it, it would have been perfectly fine for me. But if you're one that creates content, you might have to take all those extra cameras. But for me, I do it for fun. So again, I should have just taken this Sony. All right, so to end the video, I do want to mention one last thing, and that is post-Japan depression, which is extremely real. I experienced it both times I went, and it does suck to come back to the States after going to somewhere that is super immersive. The culture, the food, the transportation, and the safety of it all, it just feels like a different world. So when you come back, you will experience that. There's multiple support groups if you need help with that. But yeah, just know that you're gonna have a blast, you're gonna have a great time, and nothing that I said is meant to scare you. Hopefully it's meant to motivate you so that you're better prepared when you land in Japan. Have some more travel stuff coming up. There is a few trips that I wanna take, and hopefully I can muster up the courage to record in public, which as of right now, I do not have. But hopefully I can start recording more videos and kind of sharing more of my experiences with you guys. So yeah, that's pretty much it.